see the change, the tone, but they couldn't handle that. Nope, they couldn't handle that. If they really knew the fact, yeah, they really don't know. To have a gift, it is a curse. To be the light, you must feel the burn. Given the power to move a tide, now shake the sea.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel where we discuss popular mainstream music. And in this video, we're going to be discussing artists and their stage personas, okay? Artists and their stage personas or their alter ego names. You know, when an artist chooses a name that is not their, okay, standard government name, but a name that represents, again, their persona, their stage persona. We're going to be discussing it and how they go through it, how they experience it, the positives, the negatives that come with it. And we're going to be looking through specific artists that have these stage personas, okay, as names. But before we get into that, if you enjoyed the little snippet of music in the beginning of this video, that is my music. Definitely check it out. All you gotta do is type my name, Sam Dolphin, here on YouTube search bar, and my music will pop out. You can also check out my music on music streaming platforms such as Spotify and Apple Music. So definitely check it out, guys. I'd really appreciate that. So getting back into the video, okay, and this is artists and their stage personas. And I really wanted to do this video because recently I did a video on The Weeknd and how he was getting out of his stage persona, his name The Weeknd, okay, because he felt limited, and this inspired me to look at a lot of artists with specific stage names, and we're gonna look into it, look how have they experienced it, the origin, the positives and the positive and the negatives, and come with a conclusion for each one. So we'll be looking at a few artists with their stage personas. And the first artist we will be looking into is Lady Gaga. Okay, now Lady Gaga definitely has a stage name. That's not her real name. Her real name, I believe, is Stephanie Germanotta, a very long Italian name. But this name, Lady Gaga, actually originated from the song by Queen, Radio Gaga. And she was one time, she listened to it and she realized, hey, this is the perfect name. Obviously, because it really matches the persona. She had a very wild image, especially during the time. Her look, her fashion, her image was very wild, very out there. And it fit the feminine but yet crazy energy of her artistry. So it became Lady Gaga, and that was her origin. It came out straight from the Queen song Radio Gaga, which Queen also is a huge inspiration for her as well too, artistry wise as well, especially during the 80s era with a lot of those artists. We've got Freddie Mercury, you have Elton John. You also have, first looking at Lady Gaga, the name and how it actually helped her. Now, this helped her with her persona. If you look at Lady Gaga's original name, her name actually is, again, Stephanie Germanotta, a very long Italian name that, you know, could be hard to say, very long, very hard to pronounce, not necessarily interesting name. So the name Lady Gaga, it was way more short and sweet, and again, it really fit her persona, especially during the time, because Lady Gaga had such a wild personality compared to all the other female artists, and her look and her image was so way out there, so it really stuck, it really hit, it really made sense at the time. Now, as looking at how that stage persona named Lady Gaga, how it's lasted in her career, I would say it's been pretty well. Lady Gaga has pretty much made peace with the name. There hasn't really been any interviews where she feels like, oh my god, this name is trapping me, or oh my god, this is too much. She successfully has transitioned into acting, has done many other projects. She's even done a jazz album with that other very famous singer. I'm forgetting his name, but really, really, really good. She's kept the name and she's never felt pressure to change it. And it's very interesting with Lady Gaga with me because, and this is how I personally feel. I feel like no matter what you do, no matter what your name is, your artistry is your artistry. And like, that's my position when it comes to it. So even if you choose an outlandish name, you can always grow. You know, people just know you as Lady Gaga, but it doesn't mean that you can't grow and change. And we've seen that with Lady Gaga. She's gone into acting. She's gone into very different genres. She's done things that people did not expect her. She's even done an acting role that stripped her down from all the makeup, everything, and made her a very regular girl. So I feel like when it comes to Lady Gaga, she's grown with this stage persona very well because she's been able to handle it. It hasn't been a trap for her. It hasn't been a burden for her. She didn't feel the pressure to have to match Lady Gaga. And there's been some moments in her career where she did feel like, okay, she has to be Lady Gaga, but she never let the name and the stage persona overtake her. She successfully has transitioned to different artistries, different genres of music, while still keeping the name Lady Gaga. Because again, in my personal opinion, a name's a name. Just because you have a name, it doesn't change your ability to make art, your ability to make music, and your ability to expand. So if the name is just what most people recognize you with, then let it be. Okay, let it be. You can still explore, you can still expand, and you can still grow. And that is my personal opinion when it comes to a lot of these stage names, is that don't let it limit you. And Lady Gaga to me is a perfect example as an artist who has a very unique stage name, but has not let that stage name, that stage persona, limit her, box her in, and feel pressure that this is what she has to be. She's always expanded and went into more genres of music, different types of artistries, performing arts, acting, all of that. She's expanded and she has not let that limit her. So props to Lady Gaga. I think she's been very successful with her name. It stands out there and she's never let it limit her. So that is Lady Gaga. Moving on to now The Weeknd, okay? And we did a video with him and we're gonna bring him back again into the list. And The Weeknd actually originates from when he was 17 and he left his home. And it was during a weekend, okay? And he started exploring the world, really going wild and getting into music. And he called his name The Weeknd. And a lot of the themes of his albums derive from that name. How did The Weeknd help? It helped with his music. It helped with the themes of his music. His trilogy, which is a whole set formula for his music. It tells a whole story. I love The Weeknd because that name is not just a name for a persona, but it's like a story. It tells a whole story. And a story has to end at one point. There's a beginning and there's an end. And The Weeknd, of course, as his career has grown, he has recently let us know in the Variety interview that he's ready to leave the name. And he's felt like it has stifled him. He feels like he can't grow from that anymore. He feels like it's like a rat race. He's competing to be this person, do this thing, and there's no more growth in that. So unlike Lady Gaga, who's kept it and transformed with it, The Weeknd has felt stifled from it and feels like it's limiting him and it's a persona that he can't continue growing with. And it makes sense to me because The Weeknd to me is more than just a name, but it tells a story. The name really tells a story, and it connects to his trilogy album, which is After Hours, Dawn FM, and of course the recent album that he's gonna be dropping soon. It's Hurry Up Tomorrow. So it makes sense, you know, because it's a story does have an end, and he's felt like it has stifled him and he wants to grow out from it, which is very, very interesting to me. So The Weeknd is definitely moving on from his name, and he's an example of an artist who has played a persona and is ready to move on because that persona is now limiting his growth as an artist, okay? And again, I definitely do have a different opinion. I feel like a name is a name and music is music. You should be able to grow with it regardless, but it could be different for other people. And his name, again, it's more than a name. It really tells a story. So it might be the time to end this chapter, and that might be what he needs in order to grow and expand. So that is The Weeknd. Now the next artist is Prince, okay? Prince, the legendary iconic, okay, artist, Prince. And Prince, actually, his name, he got it from his father, who was a jazz player and played lots of music, and he was so inspired by his father and his piano playing, so he adopted the name Prince Rogers. I think his father also used to call him Prince Rogers, so Prince became his name, and it's a well-suited name because Prince is very royal. You know, his fashion is extraordinary. He has a very big ego, and I mean that in a good way. He's very confident in what he does, and he has mastered his artistry, so it's a name that really fits him very, very, very well. And to me, it didn't even separate anything. I think it went well with him because he's had the name since he was younger, and it was adopted by his father. So he loved music, and his father was about music, so it fit him very well. And again, it's royalty. He became a huge, successful, legendary act, very successful, huge celebrity, very iconic. So it fit him pretty well. Until 1993, where Prince was actually having issues with his label. He really wanted to separate from his label. He was tired of the pressures of being doing commercial music, being commercially successful. He just wanted to do the music he wanted to do. He wanted to put it out as many times as he did. You know, Prince was known for putting an album out every single year, just really, really quick with putting out the music. He didn't want to go with the formula of what it was to be a commercial artist. And if you know Prince, he is so successful, so commercial, but the way he moves as an artist is almost very independent, very indie. Okay, just doing as much music as he wants, doing any type of music he wants, not sticking to one formula, just really all over the place. So at this point, he changed his name Prince to the Love Symbol. It was back in 1993, and this is his way of getting out of Warner Brothers, which was his label. He felt trapped by it. He even put slave on the side of his cheek because he felt like he was enslaved to the label and the artistry, and they felt like they owned him, owned Prince. So in order to separate him from this huge entity that he felt like should have been only his, but of course the label is making money off of him as well too, he wanted to change his name. He wanted to get out of it. He really wanted to be independent from all the commercialism. So this is an example of an artist who, in my opinion, feels stifled not necessarily by the name, but how the business is connected to his name and the expectations because of his name. So on a business level, he felt like the name Prince was owned and it was overdone, and he wanted to change. You know, Prince is an artist. He changes every single time. So this was his way of getting out of it, and he felt imprisoned by the name Prince. Now, later on in his career, I believe he goes back to the name Prince, and nobody ever stopped calling him Prince, even though he changed his name to the Love Symbol, and he's used the Love Symbol a lot. Even in his guitar, he has that symbol, which is a part of him. But people always connect it to the Prince, and that's kind of like the thing. It's like once people know you as something and you become really big with it, it becomes imprinted in people's minds and what people know you for. So even when he tried to get rid of the name, people still called him Prince. People still knew him by Prince. Prince was never gonna leave him. And he might have felt enslaved by that, you know, because again, Prince is a very independent type of artist, and his commercial success didn't allow him to have that type of experience. Okay, he was with a label doing business, so you know, his relationship with his name was once something very special for him that he felt like was taken by the success and commercialism of his artistry, of his business, of his music. So he tried to separate from it, from changing his name and getting out of that, and that could be an experience, again, feeling trapped. Now with The Weeknd, he felt like nobody really trapped him with his name. It was more so he didn't. He was playing a persona. Whereas Prince, I don't feel like it was much so about playing a persona, but how the business and how the commercialism of the business felt like he was owned, and he really wanted to separate from it all. Okay, all the expectations, all of it. So again, another way of a person feeling trapped by their stage persona, by their name, and he wanted to separate it from it. But again, people still knew him as Prince. People still connected him. We all still call him Prince. I believe, and later in his career, he goes back to being recognized as Prince. Even his Instagram was called Princetagram. So he went back to being Prince because you can never really escape it. And that name, to me, it comes so much from his childhood, from his father, that it really was meant for him and it could never be taken. But this is how stage personas can feel like a trap, can feel like a persona, can feel like even the business is owning you. So now moving on to Katy Perry. Okay, Katy Perry. And some people actually think Katy Perry's name is her real name, but actually her name is Catherine Hudson. And she changed her name to Katy Perry for many reasons, okay? One, Catherine felt too normal for her, too proper. So she wanted Katy, a more shorter name. And then she couldn't keep Hudson because Hudson, there's already a Katy Hudson. So, which is an actress. So Katy Perry turned it to Perry, which is, I believe, her mother's maiden name. Her mother's maiden name, Perry. She kept it together, Katy Perry. And it was a nice, short, sweet name, very easy, very recognizable, and it actually kind of goes with Katy Perry, which is, really cute, but it really fits her name and her persona. And it separated her from her earlier album, which she had a gospel album with her name, Catherine Hudson. So it separated from that. It separated her from Katy Hudson, gave her her own unique name. So it was very important for her because her original name was too general, too common. And that's a thing. Sometimes people's regular name is too common, so they have to switch it up a bit, tweak it a bit to give it its own separate, unique thing that people can remember. So that was her tweak and it worked very well, okay? Katy Perry, very easy, stood her out. Now, later in her career, Katy Perry did have a moment where she felt like she was also playing this persona too much. And I remember this is where she cut her hair and she said she was tired of being the Katy Perry. She was tired of being this like flawless, unique, perky doll, and she wanted to be more of herself. So she actually had a moment where she felt trapped by her name and she wanted to get out of it. Even though her name, in my opinion, even though it's different from her normal name, it's still a general type of name that, in my opinion, allows her to still explore and be whatever she wants, because there's not a certain theme with Katy Perry. That name, it's still a name, Perry Katy. It's not like the Weeknd or the Prince where there's definitions for those names and they hit a certain theme. Like Lady Gaga, it's a certain theme. Katy Perry is still a general name, so she can still explore, but even yet, because it wasn't her original name, she felt stifled. She felt like she had to play this up cutesy persona. And later in her career, she has kept the Katy Perry name. She hasn't complained about it anymore, and even her recent album, she still goes by Katy Perry. She doesn't really complain about it anymore like she did at that moment where she cut her hair and was going through that whole different image, look, and transition. And I think it's appropriate. I think she's an example of someone who went through a moment and then has now gone back and settled with her name. And I think it's proper because I think Katy Perry, again, is still a general name. It's not a name that means a specific something. It could mean something, but it's not like, again, a Lady Gaga, The Weeknd, which has a specific theme to the name. It's Katy Perry. So I think that name still allows her to branch out and not have to follow a specific theme if she wants to or not. So that is Katy Perry's experience with it. She kind of had a little fumble with it at one point, and then she has now settled with it and is fine with it, and it's because it's a general name. Now moving on with Tyler the Creator. Okay, Tyler the Creator, which is a very interesting name. Now this name came from his MySpace, where he would put out all his creative stuff, his music. everything that he would create, his artistry. And Tyler, the Creator, is so proper. It has helped his career because Tyler, the Creator, again, is a very, very unique artist, very different, very unique, has a crazy personality. His artistry is very theatrical, his look, the things that he does with it. He just has a very big, huge personality, very theatrical, very thematic, all of that. Very dramatic energy. So Tyler, the Creator, I think it's appropriate to match his artistry, to match his energy. And I think it works perfectly. Now, lately, there's been an interview where Tyler, the Creator, actually said that he wants to go more by his original name, his regular name. And people thought that he was changing his name, going more from his original name. And he said, no, he would never get away from Tyler, the Creator. He will never leave that name. Even though he said that he wanted to explore his original name a little bit more, he said he would never leave Tyler, the Creator, the name, which I think is incredible. Now, this is someone who is at peace with their stage persona. Okay, they don't feel strangled by it. Especially with his artistry, it's so out there. I couldn't see why he would feel like Tyler, the Creator, is too much or stifling him, because it just kind of fits his energy. But yeah, he let everyone know like he would never really leave Tyler, the Creator, the stage name. So his journey with his name has been, like pretty good. Like, he loves it. It fits his energy. He has no issues with it. And his energy is so dramatic that he should have a stage persona, in my opinion. So really good with the name Tyler, the Creator. No real issues with it. And he continues with the name to this day and has made some incredible work. So that is Tyler, the Creator. Now, finally, we'll move on to Chappell Roan. Okay, Chappell Roan. Now, the origin of her name actually comes from her father, Chappell Roan. Chappell, which is a name that comes from her grandfather's last name, and Roan, which comes from one of his favorite songs. So she really was inspired by her grandfather. That's where Chappell Roan comes from. And Chappell Roan, to me, even though she's been inspired by her grandfather's name, I think it's helped her a lot, as in her career she's struggled a lot with her fame. And she made a huge point about separating the artist from the person. And I think the fact that Chappell Roan isn't her real name, she said that Chappell Roan is like a project to her. It's like a project, which is incredible. So the name has helped her identify her artistry versus who she is personally, because she isn't a person that's really comfortable with all the fame and all the celebrity. She's explained so many times how much she can't stand how people violate her space, her privacy, how after she's done with stage, she's done with that, and how she likes to put on costumes as an artistry, and when she takes it off, she's like done. So I think she is an artist that really benefits from having a stage name, because it allows her to differentiate between herself and the project. She says herself, the project Chappell Roan. So I think it really, really, really helps. I think it really has helped with her in her career to identify herself and to separate herself with her artistry as well too. Now, she has issues with her fame, but I think keeping that name helps, again, protect her, because she has issues with her fame. So I think this is gonna benefit her in the long run. Now, Chappell Roan is still in the beginning of her career, so we still don't have much to see how this journey with this name how she's dealt with it. However, I think so far it makes sense, because again, her being uncomfortable with the fame, with all the attention, and her wanting to separate that from her identity and her family and all that type of stuff, I think this name and this stage persona really helps that. So Yes, those are the few artists I wanted to talk about with their stage personas, their alter ego names. Okay, what do you guys think about these artists I list? What do you think about their names? Do you like the fact that they have them? Do the ones that have had a great time, what do you think about them? The ones that have had some struggle with it, what do you think about it? What do you think about a stage persona name? Do you think it traps an artist? Do you think it helps an artist? Let me know in the comment section below. And I'll check you guys out on the next video. And also don't forget to check out my music, okay? I'd really appreciate that. And thanks for watching.